What's up, guys? Remember, a man that does not have the sauce is lost, but the same man can get lost in the sauce. I'm Carlos Puckrin. We've got Chris Brookbanks behind producing today, and I'm here with Marty Gabriele of Marty's Way Training, also an independent contractor for Flex Fitness as well. Lots of experience, actually in a show prep right now, 6 weeks out. I just asked him how far out you are because he was so vascular when he walked in here this morning. I was internally jealous, but now I've exposed the truth. So 6 weeks out, lots of experience. Family man as well, two kids, right?
Two kids, yeah, boy and a girl.
Boy and a girl. The youngest is the boy?
Yeah, youngest of the boys, one. His name's Ian. And I got a 4-year-old named Allie. That's
nice.
Joy.
I see you doing push-ups with him all the time.
Yeah,
he's like, I think he's really hype. I think he's like kind of into it all.
When I'm working out in my little gym at home, he waddles over there and just watches.
I think he's like kind of like already really like into it.
Yeah.
I think
got
our
kids
kids
right
are,
in there when he's young.
Our kids are probably more than likely to mimic what they see their mom and dad doing than anybody else doing. Okay, so I'll get right into this. So we called this 6-part series. I'm calling it a 6-part series, but we might go 8 depending on how many people actually get, some good and solid information out of this and really want to jumpstart their healthy lifestyle. So, one of the things that I realized is that there's a lot of kind of crash diet fads, and a lot of trainers and coaches will try to train an everyday like mom and dad and teacher and just those everyday kind of like average Joes that just want to be in better health, maybe have a better cholesterol reading when they go to the doctors, better blood work, just overall more energy, the same way that they would maybe set up a program for a fitness competitor. And I think that there's a really big difference between those two types of individuals.
Oh, definitely.
The way that they learn, what will motivate them versus what will demotivate them, and what they'll be willing to do to achieve their goal versus like what a fitness competitor is.
Like how much time they can commit to it.
Exactly. And also, like I was saying stuff like drinking egg whites. Like I'll drink egg whites, but I wasn't doing it before when I was in that like regular mindset. So okay, so the first question I really have for you is like, who is Marty Gabriele? Like what who is Marty Gabriele?
Well, I'm just a regular guy, honestly. Like I'm 36. I got 2 kids, like we said. I'm originally from St. Catharines, which is like the Niagara area. So I've been competing since I was 22. I started out with some natural leagues around the Toronto area. Eventually moved on to the OPA, which is now the CPA. Moved here about 10 years ago for work, which was actually not related to fitness. Met my wife and stayed here. So.
That's what happens when you meet wives. They make you stay wherever you are.
Where they
so
are.
You're going all over the place. You meet your wife, you're staying right where you are. One thing that I like that you mentioned right there is you said, natural fitness competitor. And we know that there's natty guys and there's guys that use, enhancement products. And I think it's really, really cool that you put an emphasis on the fact that you do natural shows. And that you try your hardest to do everything in the most natural way. I think that as competitors, we still probably do things that everyday individuals wouldn't do. Carb depletion, naturally watching what we're eating a little bit more. But I think that it's super important that you put a little bit of an emphasis on that, and that you've been able to do so well. Without the enhancements, right? Okay, so specifically, and you are actually 6 weeks out from a show right now. How many shows have you done, and how long have you been actually competing for?
Well, okay, this is my 14th year.
Okay.
I think I'm at about 25.
Okay.
Total.
Nice.
The first couple of years I was doing 5 a season, really overdoing it.
And
then probably the last 5 or 6 years, I've just been doing the 1 a year, trying to work my way up, and as far as levels of competition.
You really just kind of kind of said without saying it, is that when you kind of first start, you're so overzealous and you're so kind of motivated that you can actually do things that are a detriment. Okay, so what motivates you? What has kept you motivated, and what motivates you to this day?
Well, that's a forever evolving thing. All right. Okay, so when I was starting out, 16 years old, what do you want to do? You want to get muscle and you want to get girls. I'm guilty of that, like everyone else.
Listen, thank you for being honest about that, because most guys, I'm just going to speak for most guys, okay? And when we start working out, there's probably something about ourselves that we didn't like. And, we think the opposite sex would find us more attractive if we were more muscular.
I grew up watching Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, so I had that image of what I wanted to look like in my brain, right? Okay, so later on, it became about competition, purely about competition. I wanted to work my way up. wasn't really concerned with anything else, like even like career-wise. I was kind of, I did one college program, finished it, kind of gave up on the idea, took a year off, and I thought it was going to be, this bodybuilder, or maybe bodybuilder. And then, now that I'm older, it's honestly, it's my kids. And as
that's a common theme as you get older and you have children.
It evolves.
Okay. So anyway, continue. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So just basically getting it in their head, like knowing how society is today with kids sitting around playing video games, not being active, just getting it in their head that this is something you should do on the regular. You should be mindful of your health, not just eat whatever all the time.
Exactly.
Sedentary. Yeah.
So that's what keeps you motivated on a consistent basis, and that's honestly very similar to myself at first. And this is my first show coming up next year, as you know. At first for me it was the exact same thing. I was like extremely overweight, so for me I was like, man, I just want to feel more comfortable in my skin. I think that the opposite sex would find me a lot more attractive if I was this way. Watching all of the classic, Arnold, Joe. That's the stuff I grew up on, and so that's what I looked at almost like the alpha male as. And then as I got older, I had my son, and that my motivation kind of changed to being a good dad, but also being a role model and still being able to do the things that I did when I was younger. Like we're not old, but doing the things that you were able to do as far as your health goes, being conscious of what you should be eating, what you should be drinking. And it's the same thing like what you should be watching, what time you should be going to bed. I think if you teach that at a young age, that, our children will be more responsible for themselves, and we will be able to be more, I guess the leaders in our household, and that's motivation in itself to really be able to set an example. So what's your overall passion? I think obviously fitness is a desire for yours, but do you, when I say what's your passion, I mean, do you like to teach others? Do you like to be a good role model for your children?
The biggest thing I like is teaching, because, you go on the internet, 95% of the stuff on the internet is complete BS.
95.
Please get that in your head right
I like
now.
how you looked at the camera. 95% of the, that's what, and we were talking off camera when I said, that's why I put up the real pictures of myself throughout the process of the year. I'm like 30 weeks in, and people don't understand it's like a pre-prep. Like I'm not even on prep. I'm just getting myself ready for this. And you get the guys that just show you the good, right? And they show you very minimal bad, and it makes themselves seem elite, but the reality is 95%. So you like to
show where they went back up and then back down.
So you said you like to teach. That's the main thing that you like to do.
Because like that as example, it's so hard to get reliable information. That's why you get a trainer. That's why you get a coach. Like an example is when you're training for a show, what worked for one person is not necessarily going to work for you. That's why you work with a coach. They can get to know your body, what happens when you eat what they're following pictures, measurements, just that outside eye, because you're not always critical enough of yourself or too critical.
And the majority of the time, it's too critical.
Too critical, yeah.
And the thing that you just said, and that's why I'm huge at Flex on accountability and progress. Because progress comes, I think, in such small increments that it's actually hard to gauge how far you've come in like a 1, 2, 3, 4 week period, all the way to like a 1 to 3 month period, because you look at yourself more critically than you do in a sense of, wow, that's really, really good. I have more energy now. I'm sleeping better.
Exactly.
I'm down 8
not
inches.
Sore at the end of the day from my job.
Exactly. I actually have more energy at the end of the day, as opposed to like just going home and being dead from just my everyday 8-hour shift. So that's a huge thing. So how would you say you got your start? Like what made you start? How'd you get your start? From regular Marty just getting into the gym to like starting it into a business.
Well, I competed for a good about almost 10 years before I decided that I actually wanted to make a business out of it. I wasn't just going to do it.
A decade. So I tell people all the time, because they always think that, you just look at that transformation.
Well, actually, that's just the competitive aspect of it. I've been at it for since I was 16, so 20 years. Dating myself a little.
20 years.
But
and showing his age too.
I definitely wanted to be sure that I had gone through every different protocol, every different diet, every different testing it on myself to see how I would react to it, to get some data before I just got my certification and read stuff out of a book to someone.
Yes.
Real world information is way more important.
This question isn't even, I don't have this question here, but I gotta ask this because I look at you as somebody that I actually admire for your dedication. Because I admire dedication, hard work, you know, the ups and downs emotionally with what you go through competing. But you know that experience versus that certification. Tell me, just give me like 2 minutes of like, because the cert is great. It's great to know, you know, your biceps femoris and your scap. Exactly. It's good to know your all anatomy, of the, right? It's good to know your anatomy. It's good to know, you know, the way to put together combination exercises by science. But I think it's just as important, if not more important, to have actual life experience in what you're teaching. How do you feel about that? Give me, you know, just let me know how you feel about the two and the importance of the two.
Well, your typical example of a trainer is, you know, someone young that thinks they want to train. They get a certification that, you know, whether or not they even had in class, you know, whether they did it purely online. And like you said, they don't have the experience. They don't realize the difference between people's bodies, you know, like how one exercise does not fit every person. You know, some people can't bench press because their arms are so long. Some people can't squat because their femurs are so long. Like there's different mechanics of the body that you have to learn over time.
And that comes from experience in the gym. Anyway, so you said to get your start, you know, there was 10, 20 years where you were doing on your own, but when you were thinking about turning it into a business.
Then, you know, I officially went out and got, you know, a recognizable certification. And obviously I'm not going to name the company, but I took the tests with, you know, reading the manual maybe 1 or 2 times. It took me maybe a week to learn the material. And a lot of the material I already knew. It was just their way of saying it, how they wanted you to write it on the test that I had to learn. So after that, I just started a small group on Facebook. I have a complete gym at home that I was training people at. I just, you know, advertise.
And I think your at-home gym is like super intimate. There's a lot of people that just won't come to a gym, and that's why I wanted to let people know as well, because people always think, you know, as an independent contractor flex business, you can't do your own thing, and you can. You completely can, and I love that you do that. And I think that the difference between in-gym training and in-home training is that level of comfort that individual
exactly. You know, some people just do not want to be looked at by
another human being in the gym that might be a little bit, because it's just it's uncomfortable, man.
Well, I know I look weird when I work out.
Me too. And the first time I think I ever did work out, I was just like, man, like, there's so many people in here. I'm not even at par with these people, so I just automatically kind of felt out of place, maybe a little bit more awkward, just because. So, okay, so what's the difference between a competitor's diet and like an everyday guy that or woman that wants to lose weight, gain a little muscle, and just be more functional? What would you say the distinct difference between those two diets are?
Well, with the honestly, it's not really until you get to the nitty gritty of competition. Let's say the last month or two, where types of foods will actually influence the way you look within minutes. So that aspect, you know, a competitor's diet at the end gets very strict. Yes, it's hard at the end, but towards the end, like the first, you know, couple of months, depending on where you start, it's more like a regular person's diet. You know, you're not so bent on you know, getting exact weights and exact everything as much as you are is just making sure that you can get enough of everything, right? Like a lot of times when people start out a diet and they're not used to eating regularly, they're like, wow, this is more food. Like, I'm not going to be hungry
every time, on this. Almost every time. It's like 90% of the time. Okay, so, and then with that competitor's diet, you say like, okay, so the everyday individual that's just trying to lose a little bit of weight. Or whatever, gain a little muscle, just have more energy at work, at home, okay, less stress. Do you think that they ever get to that nitty gritty that a competitor does?
It depends on how far you want to take it. Like, it's perfectly possible to get very fit, looking like not necessarily ripped, like 10 to 12% body fat. Like, well, to most people that's ripped.
Because like I'm at 13, people are like, oh my god, and I'm like, dude, I'm not, right? You know, so
like it is possible. You know, you have to control your eating, and also learn what types of foods you should be eating and when. Like, as much as I hate to say you have to eat this at this time, when
matters.
When you're training with weights, you're primarily powered by carbohydrates, so you should concentrate all your carbs a little bit before and then immediately after and a little bit after. The rest of your day, you worry about just your proteins and your fats and maybe a little bit of starches so you don't go crazy.
Exactly. Because mental sanity, the way your cognitive function mentally is.
Exactly. Carbohydrate influences your moods and stuff.
Yes.
Basically, you don't want to give, like, I think of it, I explain this as a gas tank.
Yeah.
When you work out, you're burning off your gas.
Yeah.
Carbohydrates are that gas to put back in. If you're not working out, you haven't really burned off all that gas. So you're putting in excess all the time, and you're just disrupting your blood sugar with carbohydrates, where fat won't do that.
Yes. Okay, so scientifically, the difference between the way you fuel your body with the carbohydrate or with the fat has two different functions, like gas and oil.
Yeah, exactly.
Both necessary, but they both have different uses in the same vehicle. I think that's a huge problem that people have, just even understanding, like you said, there's so much information out there, information overload, the ketogenic diet where people don't want to eat carbs at all whatsoever, which is just another version of the Atkins diet. We all know that it has an amazing short-term effect and that you can have amazing short-term results like that, but the minute you go to a barbecue or your Italian friend's
there
wedding,
are some people that just, that's the type of food they like to eat, and they can stick to it.
And guess what? And guess what? And that's perfect for that person. So, like, when you're recommending a diet for a person that says, listen, I eat very little carbs, I don't even like to eat that much food, this is the type of lifestyle I have, I'm a nurse, I work 3 12-hour shifts a week, I get 2 off, whatever the case is, then you can gear that towards that person, and you know they're never really going to go overboard, like we said, like some competitors do at the end of a show, and they have no plan to get their body back functioning metabolically the way that it was before.
And you always remember that anytime you lose or gain any more than 10 pounds, you're disrupting yourself hormonally.
Yes.
And you have to address that over time, or I don't know if you've addressed it before, but getting high on cardio and low on calories and just doing way too much work for yourself.
Yeah, and I talked that with a lot with you off camera, because that was my mentality before. Losing such a drastic amount of weight, and not a necessarily short period of time, but it was a pretty short period of time. It gave me a misconstrued version on what was right versus wrong, because there's reasons for results, and then there's just kind of like unnecessary, I think you said counterproductive was the term that you used, ways to get to your goal. And so you can't stay there for as long as you'd like to, because you've built such bad habits on your way to that particular destination that you can't keep yourself in that position. And that, I think that's why a lot of the crash dieting happens, a lot of the Atkins, keto, whatever. Everybody tries it, extreme fasting. Everybody tries it, and then they don't have success with it, and then they rebound. Exactly, and they have a bad perception of what the gym actually is. Okay, so I have something very specific that I want, because I wanted people to, like we talked about, education is very, very important, and I want people to be able to take out of this something and think to themselves, wow, maybe that crash diet wasn't good for me. Maybe I do need to seek a fitness professional. Maybe I do need to have an assessment. That's why we do the free week all June long at Flex Fitness. It literally gives you an idea of, can I achieve this? And that's the whole idea behind Flex University. It's like, okay, like this is more of learning. And
you don't have to jump in right away. Just get it in your head of what you have to do and decide, are you going to be able to do this?
Exactly. The time I can allot to it, my level of motivation, my level of dedication. Is this trainer the right fit for me? I think that's the perfect way to get somebody to know if this is something that they can actually achieve. Okay, so what are the top 5 things that you would suggest that someone do to get in just better overall health? Like drink more water, whatever the case. What are some of the things? Give me 5 things that you think are really important for the guy that's eating a bag of chips, watching this right now at 10 a.m. and didn't eat eggs, or didn't even think of what he should have for breakfast that would be nutritional. He just grabs chips and just whatever all day. He stops, grabs a soda, eats a pepperoni stick. There are people that function like that on a daily basis. What are 5 things that they can change or do to start getting themselves in the mindset of better health?
So, number one thing, even before you even talk about training, is you have to learn the right amount of calories for yourself. This can be done with a couple simple formulas that are on free internet sites.
What apps do you use? What apps?
For tracking all my food, I use MyFitnessPal. Everybody has these days. There's a few other good ones too, but that's the one I find that has the biggest database and the most information. Okay. For calculating what my body should have, and as you diet, that changes, so you should be redoing that. The most popular site I use is called freedieting.com.
Freedieting.com, guys. Freedieting.com. Okay.
Scroll down, halfway down the page, there's something called a calorie calculator.
Yes.
And you go in there, you fill in your numbers, and it'll spit out some starting values.
Yes.
So what I tell people is start with the calories. This is telling me that every day I should have 2,800 calories.
Yes.
So at the end of your day, when on your MyFitnessPal, your calories should say 2,800. So
I love how this is such a basic piece of information, but it's super important. Tell me that that's kind of important.
Yeah.
You know, like that's really, really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you've got that down pat, now you want to break down your ratios.
So this is number 2, breaking down your ratios.
Number 2 is the composition of what you're eating.
Okay.
So the most simple formula is for every pound of body weight.
0.5 or a gram.
About a gram of protein.
Okay.
For fats, I say half a gram per body weight.
Okay.
And when I say body weight, that's applying to relatively, like if someone's obese, you go with their goal weight. But if someone is just a little bit overweight, then you go with their
current
actual
weight?
body. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So once you've got your protein and your fats figured out, you can either fill the rest in with carbs, eat more protein, or more fats.
Okay. And would that be goal oriented? Would that be like, I want to put on more muscle, I want to be more lean?
Yep.
And you could decide on whether that would be proteins or fats based on that.
Yeah, that's based on what you like to eat.
Okay.
So once you've got that down packed, like protein and fats are the only things that your body actually needs.
Okay.
You technically do not need carbohydrate to survive.
Yes.
So that's.
But if you don't want to be bitchy every day.
Yeah, exactly. Not everybody adapts well to a low carb diet.
Well, because I think culturally, depending on the way you were brought up, like, listen, culturally, what your nationality is, what is your
are you used to eating a plate of pasta for a meal,
listen,
or are you used to having it?
I'm just gonna be honest, I'm black, okay, and half my family comes from the southern states, the other half comes from Barbados. So I mean, that's Caribbean food. So I have a lot of rice, I have a lot of peas, I have a lot of these starchy, that's literally genetically what I've been, and then the other half is like fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, cornbread. Again, you heard about 2 very, very high carbohydrates right away. So I know that to get the desired result that I need mentally and to physically connect,
include those in some way.
I have to include those in some way. Okay, so 1 and 2, first get your calories down pat. 2, then you kind of start, I think you said breaking down your macro intake?
Breaking down your macro intake. Basically, the thing, like I said before, now you're using carbohydrate and now you're using protein. So protein is rebuilding what you've tore down working out. I know that sounds weird to some people that aren't into working out. But then your carbohydrate or fat is going to fuel it. Okay.
So what would you say would be a third thing that everyday Joe just needs to start realizing that would be more important to them to start living just an overall healthier lifestyle?
Just more... I want to say regularity.
Yes.
So get used to eating at the same times. And I'm not saying that certain times are the right times.
Yes.
It's whatever times are good for you.
Well, like for instance, if somebody works 9 to 5.
Yeah, exactly.
2 breaks.
So you work 9 to 5 with 2 breaks. You hate eating breakfast, okay? You do not have to eat breakfast.
Awesome.
If you want to delay your breakfast until your first break, that's fine.
Yes.
All you're worried about at the beginning is at the end of the day, you have that number that you're prescribed through your formula.
Yes.
And then you go from there. So you usually take about a week of data to influence your decision. So did I sleep well this week?
Yes.
How's my training? Do I feel like I'm dragging myself around the gym, or am I really enthusiastic?
Yes.
General moods, and are people asking me simple questions and I'm biting their head off for some reason I can't explain.
Sorry, guys.
Sort of thing. Yeah. Stuff like that. People, sometimes they'll see no change for 2 days, and with weight especially, that's a huge mistake because weight goes up and down and up and down. It's not.
You can literally weigh yourself 3 times a day and have 3 different weights.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's what you eat, what you drink. That's all going to go up and down, and then your stress levels too. All that.
Yep.
So
tracking, and then so you have your number 1 is getting that number. Number 2, you're starting to track proteins and fats. Number 3, you're starting to figure out schedule wise what's your breakfast, what's your lunch, what's your dinner, what's your snack, what's your pre and post workout, whatever those are according to your life in particular, because not every way is the right way.
Yeah,
3 different guys, they work 3 different shifts, 3 different ladies. One was pregnant, one wasn't. There's just so many.
One hates this food.
Exactly. So what would be a 4th and a 5th thing that you can just start to do today? Like
so
all those things you could do you could do right now. You can literally go to freedieting.com.
Freedieting.com.
Get your number.
The calorie calculator is the one that you want. Yeah. When you start out, it's not as specific.
Yeah.
If you knew your body fat, you could get a little more specific with the formulas.
Yes.
But for now, put in your height, your weight, your age, your activity level,
Yeah.
which is, how much you do
work
every day
yeah.
or work out.
Yeah.
And it'll give you that number, your starting point. Don't look at someone and say, well, they eat 1,200 calories, and I don't care that they're 2 feet tall and half my weight. I'll just do it too.
Exactly.
That's how you lose weight.
One of the things I tell people all the time, because they come in like, yo, I'm doing the Jillian Michaels, and I'm like, you're not
Jillian Michaels is a lot different looking than you.
Exactly. So be realistic, okay? I think that might even be one of them. Be realistic, but give me a fourth and a fifth that people can do starting today.
So you touched on the one before too about water.
Yeah.
Replace your drinks. When you go to the fridge, well, I hate to say this to all your beer drinkers, but when you go to the fridge for a beer, grab some water, or even water every other beer if you're into more than one beer.
No, seriously.
You need to include more water in your diet, especially, again, around training. Dehydration is the biggest thing that's going to make you feel like crap and underperform in the gym.
Yep.
So, last thing.
And there's so many.
Yeah, exactly. Before we even step foot in the gym, you might want to go to a site like bodybuilding.com that has videos and home workouts that you can, start on your own, and simple things to get you started.
Yeah.
And then eventually you get into the gym, you get a trainer, because, not just because I'm a trainer and I want you to come see me, but you can't just go to the gym and look around and say, oh, well, this person is doing this way, so that must be the way I'm doing it, like I was talking before. Everybody's body's got different length of bones, different size of joints. So me personally, I hate squatting, but I love doing things like a leg press where
almost like
the
a
load
squatting
is different. Yeah, exactly. You're working the same muscles, but because my upper legs are so long, I have such a weird stance squatting that it puts pressure on my back.
The wrong parts of your back.
And really
so those are actually 5 really, really good things I think people can do now. It's like, listen, go on the website, start calculating your calorie intake, then start breaking down your macros. What do you like to eat? Do you like tuna? Are you a vegetarian? Do you like steak? What do you like? Then start to break those things down. And I think those websites give you so much good free information. And like you said, get yourself an app. Listen, man, when you eat food, think about what you're eating.
Yeah.
Because so many people, I used to mindlessly eat. Like, let's get some Frankos, guys. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'm
not going to care that I went out for breakfast. And I went out for lunch.
Exactly. And the portion wasn't even calculated and stuff like that. So it's really, really important. If you have a job, and they have quality control and you have to make your parts a certain way, well, you have to have a certain method in order to get those parts over to quality control. Same thing with your body. If you want to have good heart health, if you want to have good eyesight, if you want to have good long-term health, you want to have good blood readings and stuff like that, you have to pay attention to the things that you're putting into your body. So, just be a little bit more mindful. What do you think the top 5 mistakes people make when they say, today I want to get fit, and then they just start doing shit?
So, the term I hate the most is I'm eating healthy. So, eating healthy, it's great. You're getting your vitamins, you're getting all that, which is important, and I'd never say that you can survive on crap. There's always that balance.
Yeah, somebody that says you can survive on crap is lying to you, but
your body composition is based on your calories.
Yes.
You can't just say, okay, I'm going to eat chicken and rice.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't eat enough chicken and rice or not enough chicken and rice, then you're slowing your results.
Yeah.
If you calculate that number and you get that right amount, then you're
going to yield a result. Right? Exactly.
Yeah, because no matter what, if you're not tracking, you're going to eat according to hunger.
Yes.
Sometimes you're going to sit down and be able to stop. Sometimes you're not going to be able to stop.
Exactly.
But you can't get it in your head that just because I'm eating healthy, I'm going to lose weight.
Yes.
Like a good diet will always include.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I'm eating healthier.
Yeah, but you're
still
eating too much calories.
Exactly.
So, your body doesn't care.
Exactly.
If there's too much, it's going to make fat.
Healthy food. Yeah. So okay, what's another one?
What we touched on before about all the information out there, 95% of it is designed to sell a product or designed on something that worked for one person magically.
Or that
one
person
time.
magically.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
And even with people, like my preps now are different than they used to be, and my body responds differently, and one prep's never the same.
Yeah.
So mistakes, not getting a trainer, like I said, you're going to hurt yourself.
It's inevitable. It's fun. I hurt myself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
fun to watch somebody in the gym and say, oh, well, that's all you got to do, I can do that. Well, if you're not standing right, if you're not locked into the right position, if you don't bend your legs, there are certain things that you need to do during an exercise can make it dangerous.
It does. It's true. Mm-hmm. All right, give me 2 more. Two
more mistakes.
There's so many mistakes, man. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, people make a lot of mistakes.
Well, thinking that one product is going to magically make your results happen. Like this diet pill is going to make me look like this girl right here.
Hey, you hear this? They have these radio ads. Try,
guaranteed
Blaze,
20 pounds
Blaze
in 4 seconds.
Like, and it's like this. And if you lose too much weight, discontinue the product.
Yeah. Be careful. It's that good.
Yeah,
like definitely supplements. They're a tool.
Yes.
If you have the time to meal prep and get everything you need from your diet, that is sufficient. But most people don't have the time to eat a ton of chicken all day, so you supplement in a protein shake, so you hit that magical number that you've calculated from your calorie counter that's been calculated for you.
Yes, scientifically from somebody that actually knows the formula.
Yeah,
that you're
exactly.
Okay, give me one more. Give me a big one too, because there's
doing too much too soon. So
that's huge. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So
I have this great trainer because he trained me so hard I puked, and then the next 10 days I couldn't walk. So it must have been a good workout. No, that's the stuff that's going to make you never want to go to the gym again.
Yeah.
You have to ease your way into it. If you're completely sedentary and you go to a 7-day-a-week training program, cardio all day, you're going to feel like garbage. Your body's going to break down. You're going to say, this is way too hard.
Yeah.
Where, you start with 2 sessions a week, then you add in 2 weight training sessions plus a cardio session a week, like slowly adding to your regimen.
You're right, man. That is a huge mistake. People. This is what happens. Okay, you ate like shit all week, right? It's Saturday and Sunday night. You're on your last beer. You gotta work in the morning. It's 8 a.m. right? You gotta be up in 0.5 hours, right? And you feel like an idiot because the whole week you've eaten 2 whole bags of Doritos, right? A whole box of Joe Louis. Like you've just been doing whatever you want. Then you watch this commercial that comes on in between the last episode of CSI, and it's like, you are fat and depressed, aren't you? That's why you're
I'm
up this late.
I'm going to change my life
right now. So Monday after work, I'm going to join a gym, which is like, Joe Arco used to say to me, a library versus a library card. And it's like, just because you have a library card, you're not a professor. You're still going to need somebody to either direct you into the right categories of what you should be learning, science, social studies, history, whatever the case is, and then start reading a book. But you're not just going to go in, power read, retain all that information, and then go teach a class on it.
Cramming it for a test.
Everything is setting yourself up by success and doing things incrementally, small steps at a time, so that you can give yourself small successes, because they're motivating, and failures are demotivating. So the more you fail, the sorer you are, the more you're hurting, the worse your sleep is. Now I'm a complete weirdo, because for me I was like, it's working, and I kept going.
Exactly.
and I kept going.
You have to learn that, right?
But some people, that's demotivating. For instance, like with my fiance,
wow, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta feel like this every day.
With my fiance, if I even slightly overtrain her, I'm talking about 2 extra sets, 5 extra minutes.
Magic,
if she has to feel like that lactic acid in your elbow joint, or like that kind of lactic in your kind of like upper pec, she doesn't want it. Like she's like, I need 2 days off. And I'm like,
exactly.
So I get her right
here, and as soon as you put your arms up, you notice how much your shoulders hurt.
And so I'm like, as soon as I get to that threshold, we're done. 20-minute workouts, 25-minute workouts, 15-minute workouts even, but consistently, slowly but surely, been able to get her over that threshold. And that's what people got to understand. Get a trainer. It's super duper important, I think. Okay, so you've been in the industry for a long time. I'm sure you've had a ton of clients before we've even met. What is one of the transformations? You don't have to say their name, or you can say their name if they're comfortable. But what is one of the transformations that stick out to you throughout the course of your career that you've been able to teach that person, help them create, and then they've continued on? Because I think that's what's I think I love the most about this career in general.
Honestly, the most important one to me so far has been my mother. She's in her 60s. Had no concept of how to set up a diet, had done diets before.
Man, this is awesome, because I think all our moms, they weren't taught this. But anyway.
Exactly. So I basically gave her a plan with all that information that you can get yourself. I got her number of calories should be.
But she gave birth to you, so you did it all for her.
Exactly.
She did it all for you.
and my mom was really good. She right away she joined MyFitnessPal, started up the app and started tracking. Even though she wasn't getting everything exact right away, she had to learn. She would do that, where some people say, okay, well, I got this diet, now I'm going to live off these foods for 6 weeks. Well, no, you're it's a learning process. you should be watching your MyFitnessPal and say, okay, well, meat mostly has protein and fat. So if I'm looking for protein and fat, I'm going to look for a meat. And if I punch it into MyFitnessPal, that'll tell me exactly what that meat has in it.
Yes.
And I'll fit it into my puzzle.
Yes.
And she took to that really good. And, you know, I don't even know what she's down now. She's got to be down, last time I checked, it was 40.
Nice.
But, yeah.
Overall function is better. Would you say?
Yeah, exactly. Overall function is better. Like, she's not doing anything special. She walks the dog, I think, twice a day for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And does a very minimal weight routine.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's followed the plan, and
she
had those realistic expectations. She wasn't saying, okay, well, how am I going to lose 40 pounds tomorrow? Like, she said, what can I sustain? And just teaching her what was great, because it's been
I'm sure that was
5 years.
I'm sure that's obviously personally great for you,
definitely.
But obviously being able to
mm-hmm.
obviously seeing a better quality of life for your mother and stuff like that, that's obviously going to be something that, especially, you can indulge in that and say, Mom, what are you having trouble with? And that's one of the things I like seeing what clients' progresses are. I like seeing where they're slacking and where I can help them plug and play put little
Everybody's
things in.
going to have a slightly different way of getting there. You just got to work at it and figure out what that way is.
We all learn differently, so that's what it is. I mean, basically what I wanted to let them know is that they can go to Marty's Way to contact you personally. If you're into the gym, he's also with us at Flex Fitness. So you can contact us at 519-979-6622. You can book all of June with Marty for free. You get 3 half-an-hour personal training sessions, a 7-day gold membership as well, which gets you access to all of the amenities. The club's great. We keep it nice and clean. I think it's really, I think atmosphere. I think as far as the culture goes, it's really
very
inviting.
Accepting.
Yeah,
exactly. You don't have guys screaming in the corner and everybody's scared of them. Like,
exactly. Even if there's guys screaming in the corner, there's like a 60-year-old lady over there that loves it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
like everybody kind of understands
it's not
that.
Intimidating.
Exactly. I think everybody understands culturally that we're all there to better ourselves, and the gym is also a great place to get yourself over the mental stress of everyday life.
You walk into the gym, you put everything aside, and you worry about what you're doing at that time. That's the one thing actually that I should say that I've always loved about the gym.
Yes.
No matter what kind of day you've had, you should be concentrating on what you're doing working out. You shouldn't just be going through the motions. So that should keep your mind, or what was that saying that I came up with?
I just said that to him the other day. Don't just go through the motions. Be the motions.
Put your mind on the weights to keep the weight off your mind.
Exactly. Ooh, that's it. So on that note, I'm done right there. Hey, man, put your mind on the weight so you can keep the weight off your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
That is, the weight on your mind just from everyday life in general, just from all the things, the kids, the wife, the husband, the job,
that
the
guy
boss.
That cut you off 10 minutes ago.
5 minutes ago, the guy who you see texting, who almost, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which isn't me. I've never been on my phone texting. So anyway, like I said, you can contact him at Marty's Way. There's a link in the actual description. Get a hold of us at Flex Fitness. We have a free week program that we're doing right now. We're having a lot of good turnover from that. We're seeing people say, listen, you know what? This isn't for me. I can't dedicate myself to this right now. Give me a month. And I've had people say, I'm ready for this. I might not be able to do 4 days a week, but start me off at a 2-day-a-week program.
Exactly. Start at what you're capable of.
Start at what you're capable of. Get yourself a trainer. Get yourself in the hands of a professional that can at least, if not do what needs to be done for you, point you in the right direction. I think it's really, really important to make good, informationally based decisions, not just what's cool or trending on Google or Twitter or the new lemon bologna diet. It's much better to actually have information that's geared to yourself personally. And remember, don't get lost in the sauce.